is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. 2.03 Adoption of the Agenda. It's recommended that the agenda for October 9th, 2024, regular meeting of the Board of School Trustees be adopted as presented.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 3 is recognition, and we have nothing. 4 is comments and questions from the floor. 4.01, representatives of the Mishawaka Parent Group. 4.02, representatives of school employees. 4.03, representatives of the Mishawaka Education Foundation. We have Jane Wright. Welcome.
And this is the last time you'll see this hat because I'm auctioning it off for big bucks. Big bucks. Anyway, trunk or treat, huge success. 3100. I know that because the library had a trunk and they clicked. And so I'm going, I think we had a big crowd. Oh, wait, Jane, we had. And so we did have enough candy. I had to return candy for the first time.
Oh.
Because people were so generous with what they got. And it was a beautiful day in the high school. What? And so once it's up, everybody share, okay? And everybody in this room, let me see hands. Who's coming? Yay, everybody. We gotta be there, guys, because the students are excited. We have so much going on. It will be so fun. So go Caveman, go 100, and be there. Okay, guys.
David Strawn.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. We'll skip the disclaimer and go right to the questions this evening in the interest of saving some time. 7 questions and 1 commendatory finding tonight. Question number 1. How many employees, both full and part-time, were on the payroll of School City of Mishawaka as of September 1st, 2024? Please exclude persons who might be employed under a purchased labor contract. Question 2. From the entire pool of School City of Mishawaka employees, as calculated in question 1 above, how many employees hold some type of formal certification issued by the Indiana Department of Education? Question 3. From the entire pool of School City of Mishawaka employees as calculated in question 1 above, how many employees live within the geographic boundaries of School City of Mishawaka? Question 4. It's already been answered, but for the record, when will all personal property currently consisting of 9 new Whirlpool microwaves and 2 each electric dryers, all in their shipping cardboard and shrink wrap, be removed from the hallway in the Family and Consumer Science Hallway at Mishawaka High School? This condition has existed since the start of the school year, and the fire marshal might not approve of such as storage practice. Question 5, how does School City of Mishawaka verify that parents actually receive a copy of their child's report card if either 1, the household does not have internet service, or 2, the child can't be trusted and routinely intercepts or otherwise steals mail before the parents arrive at home? Question 6. What has been the participation rate by parents at Mishawaka High School parent-teacher conferences over the last 3 school years? Question 7. For school years ending in 2022, 2023, 2024, what was the attrition rate for first-year Mishawaka High School engineering students? Is this number tracked and reported somewhere? Do we know why students are leaving after the first year? In what subjects do former engineering students generally enroll once they leave the engineering program? And lastly tonight, commendatory finding. I wish to commend all parties involved in the decision involving the siding and the replacement of the newly erected Steel Stadium flagpole. It was absolutely the correct decision among all competing alternatives. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, David. 5 is the consent agenda. 5.01, approval of the minutes of the September 18, 2024 meeting. It is recommended that the minutes for the September 18, 2024 board meeting be approved as presented. 5.02, approval of bill warrants and payroll. It is recommended that the board approve the bill warrants and payroll in the amount of $3,653,818.49 from the appropriate funds. 5.03, July monthly financials. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the July monthly financials as presented. 5.04, August monthly financials. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the August monthly financials as presented. 5.05, approval of donations. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve donations as listed and documented. 5.06, approval of donations from Central Midwest Regional Council Carpenters Union. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the $5,500 donation from Central Midwest Regional Council Carpenters Union as documented and presented. 5.07, approval of the ECA risk report for Mishawaka High School. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the ECA risk report Mishawaka High School as presented. 5.08, approval of the ECA risk report for School City of Mishawaka. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the ECA risk report for School City of Mishawaka as presented. 5.09, approval of the St. Joe Health Systems Contract Amendment Number 7 for Athletic Trainer Services. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the St. Joseph Health System Contract Amendment Number 7 as presented. 5.10, approval of the position descriptions. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the positions descriptions as presented. 5.11, approval of the consent agenda. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 6 is reports and discussion items. There is nothing. 7 is human resources. 7.01, personnel report. Mr. Laban.
Thank you, President Parks. This evening, we're recommending the appointment of 16 classified positions and 5 extra duty assignments. As always, happy to answer any questions, but if not, it's recommended the board approve the personnel report dated October 9th, 2024.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. 7.02, recommendation to approve ancillary benefit improvements. Mr. Laban, Mrs. Sanders.
Thank you, President Parks. Good evening, board. This evening, we're excited to share with you some recommendations for improvements to School City of Mishawaka's ancillary benefits. Before we kind of get into the meat and the core of the program itself, I want to just give a little bit of context and some insights into how we got to where we are this evening. On the screen, you're going to see here, and as you will likely recall, that the board approved an agreement with Gibson Insurance back in March of 2024 to serve as SCM's broker. Since that time, we've been working really closely with the Gibson team, but specifically with the three individuals that you see there listed on the screen: Stephanie Moore, she just recently got married, Bob Zvacki, and then Miguel Salazar, who is with us this evening and will be available to answer any questions that you may have near the end of our presentation. At that time and back in March, collectively as a group, we identified some areas of focus. And essentially what I've highlighted there is several of the items by which we're going to speak on this evening throughout the presentation as items that we identified as something that we wanted to prioritize as part of our transition from our former broker to Gibson, and then tonight being able to deliver on those kind of commitments or promises that were made. So our current focus for this evening is going to be on several things. It's certainly a multifaceted approach. The first is our benefit administration system, making a change from what we are currently utilizing to a program or platform called EOI. That will be at no cost to School City Mishawaka as part of additional or another agreement that we already have in place. The second is in regards to COBRA. Making a change from our current provider to that. It's called Flores, and that agreement is attached to the board agenda item. And then third is our flexible spending account, changing that from American Fidelity to Oxyant as well. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the few remaining items here, starting with our pharmacy benefits. If you are unfamiliar, and I will be totally truthful, I was very unfamiliar until I've learned more over the past couple of years in particular there. But a pharmacy benefit manager is a third-party company that essentially works with our prescription drug companies. They work with the insurance provider, they manage costs, and they work on how to deliver prescriptions to employees. Currently and historically, our PBM has been CVS Caremark. This evening, we are making a recommendation to change that to TrueRx. And with that is another program called Sharks. And essentially, whenever we're looking at these types of changes, we certainly have to be cognizant of the impact on employees, right? There's always the instance by which on an annual basis that you have what's called the disruption, right? So a change in the way a prescription drug is delivered or how it's offered or the cost by which employees are paying to receive that prescription drug. So that happens on a pretty standard, pretty regular basis, right? When you're making a change in provider, you have to be cognizant of to what extent is that going to have a negative impact or negative disruption on your employees. So we were very cognizant of that when we were reviewing the options in terms of who could be our PBM. Fortunately, we're happy to report that with TrueRx, that disruption will be very minimal, if at all. We estimate that approximately 33 employees who are currently receiving prescriptions will experience a change in the cost of their prescription. That doesn't necessarily mean a higher cost. That could actually mean a lower cost in some instances. And then 47 employees through the program that I'm going to speak on a little bit more detail here called Sharks. We are going to see that they will be part of that program and likely receive their prescriptions at no cost at all. So there will be a cost savings to those individual employees. The Sharks program is really unique, and I'm going to share some figures here on the next slide in terms of cost savings. And because what it does is it targets high-cost prescription drugs. So those that typically cost $350 or more for a 30-day supply. And it works with providing mail service to provide those prescription drugs at a lesser cost, ultimately saving both the organization money and then the employee money out of his or her pocket as well. When we looked back historically to do a kind of a snapshot, and we looked at our claims that were analyzed from the calendar year 2022, had we been utilizing TrueRx with the Sharks program, our School City of Mishawaka would have seen a gross savings of over $870,000. Now, again, rarely do we get to talk about positive things and cost savings when it comes to insurance. Typically, it's the adverse of that. No offense, Miguel. But in addition to that, we also would have had a $61,000 cost savings to employees. So that's on top of the 872. Again, these are gross figures. So anytime that we can identify an opportunity that has very minimal, if any, disruption to employees, but can deliver an equal, if not superior product or service to the employees, but can achieve cost savings like this, it's, a win-win-win type of situation. So we're really excited to move forward with this program, both Trurex and the Sharks program as well. That is two of the recommendations that we have for you this evening. I'm going to now kick it over to Ms. Sanders, Benefits and Wellness Coordinator, to talk through a couple of the other recommendations.
Good evening. Thank you guys for having me tonight. So I'm going to start talking now about voluntary benefits. We have looked at making changes in our voluntary benefits over the last few years numerous times. And as you can see, the biggest reason is currently we're with American Fidelity, and they charge a lot more than any of the other options out there. So there's a lot of pieces to it, and we'd struggled over the years to find different ways to maybe manage all of the pieces. And with working with Gibson and Miguel, we think that we finally have it all in place, and it's a little more complicated than you might think. But we're going to show you a few of the prices, so you can see right there for the voluntary life insurance, the savings that our employees would receive. And this is all employee savings. School City of Mishawaka doesn't pay anything for the voluntary benefits. Our employees pay for it. And then there's some other savings listed for disability, critical illness, and cancer with MetLife are combined into one, to where American Fidelity charges it separately, hospital, accident. And then we're also going to be lucky enough to add pet insurance, which I'm excited about, and hopefully other people will be too. And also legal insurance and identity protection. So again, these are employee offered benefits. They're not something School City pays for, but it's a significant savings to our employees to make the change over to MetLife for all of these benefits. This is where we kind of get a little bit more into the weeds for it. This is pretty much everything that we're proposing to change. So currently, we use Optavise for our benefits admin system and for COBRA. And we pay, I can't read that from here because I don't have my glasses on, so $24,000 something a year. Unfortunately, we do have a contract with them through next year and just slightly into 2026 that we're going to have to continue with. But we are going to be able to get EOI for free, partially due to our partnership that we're going to have with MetLife and what we have with Gibson. So we are going to go ahead and make that switch now to EOI. Part of the reason for that is they can do an open enrollment for both the voluntary benefits and for the medical, dental, vision, to where currently all of our employees have to go through 2 open enrollments. So they will sit down with each of our employees individually, explain their benefits, help them understand what might be best for them, not try to push anything on them that they don't need. Not everybody, if you don't have a family history of cancer, maybe you don't need the cancer insurance. So they'll talk to them, talk about their history, and find out what's best for them. Part of the reason that we can get the deal with that is by switching to MetLife for the vision, for our current life and long-term disability, which are through Voya, both for a savings, and then switching all of our voluntary benefits over to them. With that, we are also going to get an implementation credit and a tech credit. But if you look at the FSA, the Flex Spending Plan, that is the one area that we've never had a cost associated with it. We will have an admin cost with that going forward. So the plan right now is to use that tech credit and the implementation credit to help pay for the admin cost to offset that. I don't know if that made sense. We feel like by bundling everything together, it's going to make it a lot easier for our employees. They're going to be able to access everything in one place. They're going to be able to get answers to questions all in one place. It's going to be probably not less confusing this year, but going forward, it'll be a lot less confusing for them. So that is our hope. Absolutely.
I can't see it because it's blue. Vision is MetLife.
Yes, and
dental is what?
Still Paramount. So
Paramount.
And Gibson got Paramount to actually give us a flat rate for this upcoming year. We had discussed changing that over also to MetLife. But it was, I believe, a 28% disruption rate for the employees, so we didn't want to do that at this point in time. And then MetLife uses the VSP network for their vision, so we're not going to actually have any disruption for the vision. They use the VSP network, and they include Costco, Walmart, and there was something else, Sam's Club.
VSP.
So it uses the VSP network, but it's through MetLife and paying less for it. So I don't know. Somebody else might be able to make that make sense.
How does that work?
Amazing, isn't it? How MetLife rents the VSP network and still is able to offer it at less price.
Okay. So as far as the, when we go for vision, when we go to the optometrist, they're going to see it as VSP. They're not going to see Met or Paramount.
They may call MetLife to verify benefits and eligibility.
Right.
Process through the VSP network.
Okay.
Another change that we are going to be able to make by doing this is currently the wait time for our short-term disability is 30 days, which is actually really long for short-term disability. So we're going to have the opportunity to lower that to a 14-day wait time.
So again, with all of these ancillary benefits, again, you just spoke through, right? It's a simplification of the process itself, so ease of access for the employees. It's one less enrollment period in terms of, again, gaining information and access to, and then it's ultimately a cost savings across the board as well. So again, I go back to a win-win-win type of situation for all of the items that we're recommending this evening collectively as a whole.
All right, so then next steps. If you guys agree to all of these changes, which I know there's quite a few, and you guys have a lot of different contracts and agreements to sign tonight, we will begin implementation phone calls over the next couple of weeks to get all of the paperwork that these different companies need, censuses of our employees. We have open enrollment scheduled for, I have to look at my notes for that, 11/25 through 12/6, which is a little bit later than we normally do, but that was just in order to have somebody available to meet one-on-one with the employees. They'll meet with us beforehand to get all of the answers to our insurance, because if you're on our insurance, it can be a little bit complicated, so that hopefully they'll be able to address the questions as well as we would be able to if we were meeting with them one-on-one.
If there are no other questions, or are there any other questions that we have, we do have, again, Miguel Salazar on hand to address anything that the board may have. If not, if it's recommended the board approve the benefit improvements and associated MOUs as presented. Thank you.
Second. It's been moved. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Good job.
7.03, public hearing to discuss tentative agreement with Mishawaka Education Association. Corey, you want to speak on
Yeah,
that?
thank you. Quickly, in 2019, Senate Enrolled Act 390 amended the process that's required of schools to hold public meetings to discuss CBA's collective bargaining agreements. Our tentative agreement with the Mishawaka Education Association will be available on the website under public notices. However, attached to the board agenda item in your package should be a summary of those. I'm going to outline just a couple of those items here for you this evening. The first, again, is an increase in insurance of 9% of the total premium. That is, again, to both the corporation and to employees. This is going to reflect an annual increase of $83.92 for employees on a single plan and $440.27 annually for employees on a family plan. Again, there is no change to dental or vision. This is going to reflect an increase of our minimum base teacher salary from the current $45,000 to $47,500, so an increase of $2,500, which we are excited about. Teachers who have a current base salary of $45,000 to $47,300 will receive an increase. It's going to vary anywhere between $2,000 and $2,525, or roughly 4.23 to 5.61%. And then teachers who have a current base salary greater than $47,500, they will receive an increase of $1,850, generally a range of 2.46 to 3.88. On average, School City Mishawaka teachers will see an increase of 3.16%. And I point that out in particular because that's significant, acknowledging that our year-to-year increase in basic tuition support from the state was only 3% for the fiscal year. So we are giving more back to the teachers than what we received from the state. I'm not going to highlight all of the changes that we made, but we certainly made some minor modifications to the extracurricular activity schedule, in addition to some general language modifications that were mutually agreed upon between both entities. Those, again, are listed in that summary provided, and again, will be captured in the tentative agreement that will be posted on the School City of Mishawaka website following the meeting this evening. We're going to hold the ratification meeting during our next board meeting on October 23rd, but as always, happy to answer any questions that the board may have for now.
So I'm going to open a public meeting if anyone cares to speak. I'm going to close the public hearing. Thank you so much. All right, thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
8 is Curriculum, Instruction, and Technology, 8.01, 2024-2025, transfer students for second semester. Mr. Troyer.
Thank you, President Parks, Dr. Stevens, members of the board. Tonight, we are seeking approval for second semester numbers and dates for out-of-district enrollment students. And as you'll see up above, this slideshow is very similar to the one we presented in spring, so just dates and numbers will be different. So this will go fairly quickly. But we are governed by Indiana Code 20-26-11-32 in this process, and we have to make public the number of students that we have capacity at each grade level. We also need to establish dates of the requests to transfer into the corporation, and then we also must post that on our school website and report it to the DOE. And then also during this process follow all the state code guidelines for approval and denial of a student's enrollment. So the next slide shows us the important dates. Today is October 9th, and we are requesting approval for the numbers and the dates of the applications of out-of-district enrollment students. October 10th would be tomorrow. If approved, we will have that posted on School City of Mishawaka's website and also reported to the Indiana Department of Education. November 1st through the January 17th is the window we are looking at accepting applications for these students. And then January 24th is the goal date that we would have everybody notified if they were approved or denied. So the target enrollment numbers we're going to look at are pretty much 10 openings per grade level, or per grade, minus 12th grade. As usual, we're going to stick with, we're not having 12th graders enroll for second semester, but we do also have an additional 25 spots for the K, for a total of 145 openings. We will continue to use SchoolMint software. Very user-friendly for the parents. The application is found on the Parent tab, School City of Mishawaka's website. They are notified through email, so the process is quicker than going through snail mail and all of those antiquated forms of communication. And as mentioned in the spring, SchoolMint also has different languages for our multilingual families. So this is a side-by-side comparison, and I'll just call some quick attention. And we went over this at the spring meeting, but you'll see it's kind of exciting. We had in 22-23, we had 287 students, and we only retained 154 of those. So that's a loss of over 100 of those students that had out-of-district enrollment approved. In 23-24, we had 231 of those, which we retained 173, so that's a little over 70%, and a little over 20-some% of improvement. So we want to continue that process and that improvement. And I also noted, just for your own knowledge, that this first semester, we currently have approved for enrollment 315 students. So if we can get and retain the majority of those, I think that was a productive school year. Next steps, we're going to continue to increase our focus on retaining both our resident and non-resident students. But at this time, it is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the establishment of the new transfer student capacity for second semester of the 24-25 school year as presented. second semester, it is further recommended that the board establish January 17th, 2025 as the date by which new requests to transfer into the school corporation should be received to attend School City Mishawaka schools for the 24-25 second semester. We're seeking your approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
9 is business and operations. 9.01, declaration of surplus equipment. Mr. Miskin.
Good evening, President Parks, Dr. Stevens, ladies and gentlemen of the Board of School Trustees. Tonight, we'd like to get rid of some stuff that's just been hanging around the shop. So we have a bunch of miscellaneous maintenance-related items that are unfit for the purpose which they're originally intended. We're asking for permission for the disposal of surplus items as provided by Indiana Code 5-22-22-3. I supplied a list and some rationale why we wanted to get rid of them. And I am just asking to have it recommended by the Board of School Trustees to dispose of surplus equipment as listed and presented.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. 9.02, adoption of the 2025 capital projects plan. Mrs. Dutoy.
Thank you, President Parks. I'm just asking for the board to approve the 2025 calendar year capital projects plan that was presented on September 18th that goes with the 2025 budget.
Is there a motion?
And move for approval.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 9.03, adoption of the 2025 bus replacement plan. Mrs. Dutoy.
Thank you. I'm just asking for the 2025 bus replacement plan that was presented on September 18th be approved for the 2025 calendar year.
Move for approval. Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. 9.04, resolution for the 2024-007 Education Fund to Operations Fund, ongoing transfers from July to December 2024. Mrs. Dutoy?
Thank you, President Parks. This is just a reiteration of the resolution to be able to transfer from the education to the operations fund each month. This is been revised from the regular $4 million to also encompass the $853,400,000 that wasn't caught in the first 6 months, as I tried to not go over the 15% transfer, but that has become apparent that I can't do that. So I brought it into the last 6 months, so that will increase for the last 6 months of December.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Second.
Reluctantly.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.05, resolution number 2024-008, Education Fund to Operations Fund, ongoing transfers from January to December 2025. Mrs. Dutoy.
Thank you. This is the resolution to go along with the 2025 calendar year budget to transfer up to $8 million from the education to the operations fund to keep the corporation running in the operations fund.
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 9.06, approval of the agreement with C&S Masonry Restoration LLC for additional repairs to LaSalle Elementary. Mr. Miskin?
Good evening again, President Parks, Dr. Stevens, ladies and gentlemen of the Board of School Trustees. I want to first say thank you to Rachel Dutoy for, we met, tried why the contractor was on site. We did some exploratory surgery, for lack of a better word, on one of the window lintels, and the building is well constructed. But so we had to do some alternate things to the lintels above it, because as we fixed the masonry around the top portion of the building, we were still getting water infiltration through the windows. So we did one, they did it as a favor to us, and we came up with a game plan, and while they were still on site, They came up with a quote. There's over 178 windows there. The superintendent, I've got a little side bet there. He doesn't think there's that many windows there. But, I sat down with Rachel. I said, hey, listen, they're on site. Is there anything that we can do? And so Rachel was gracious enough to look through, find the money, why they're there, because if we didn't start this process with the windows, we'd wind up in the same condition as we have at Battelle. So they're going to remove and salvage the bricks over all the windows. They're going to grind and paint the existing windows, install flashing and weep vents so all the water's coming out, because as we come down that building and fix all the masonry, that part's good, but then when we check back in with the main office staff, oh, the window ledges are wet. Well, then we looked, and it's coming in through the windows. We have the same condition as we have at Battelle. So this way, at least, we're sealing probably 70, 80% of the building's masonry woes right now. With this, we'll be a little bit higher. We probably have roughly two more sessions, shall we say, or two more scopes of work that we have to identify, courtyard being one of them. And then some in the back part of the building. But Rachel and I are working through that and bring it to you later, at a later date. So that gives you the long and short of what we're doing there. So I'm asking that it is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the quote provided by CNS Masonry Restoration, LLC, for masonry repairs at LaSalle Elementary School in the amount of $88,000. The funding source will be from 2022A bond sale.
Move for approval.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? No. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 10 is policy updates. There is nothing. 11, superintendent's report and action items. Dr. Stevens.
Thank you, President Parks, and really just a few informational items for the board and community tonight. First of all, since our last board meeting, I want to point out that I had two significant events at Mishawaka High School, but the one was the trunk or treat event, which Jane already talked about. However, she neglected to talk about the Mishawaka High School Job Fair that was held on September 19th, and I would argue that was a continued success, very successful program. I believe Mr. Brew hopefully feels the same way. Well attended by students, well attended by a variety of businesses in our community to interact with the students. So we really appreciate the partnership with the MEF to help get that off the ground and provide that opportunity for our students. Next, off the script just a little bit, if you didn't notice, the Young Adult Believe store had an opening here at the Ad Center. So if you weren't able to nab some stuff, I do believe they'll be open here again tomorrow. Is that correct, Mr. Johns? 10 to 2 tomorrow if you're interested in the Believe store. So thank you to the young adults and all the fine things that they produce and make and sell. And then also, I don't want to neglect that it is the month of October and it is Principal Appreciation Month. So we have a few principals with us today. So maybe we can give a round of applause to our fine school principals. And I believe we may have some social media shout outs later in the month as well. But thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the students in our community. And then last but not least, the operations budget sort of appropriation hearing and votes. Probably the room doesn't know, but St. Joseph County recently released updated assessments for property taxes throughout the county. As such, our budget appropriations need to be adjusted accordingly, and part of that process is to have a public hearing, then wait 10 days before a formal vote takes place. So therefore, this month, the board will hold 2 additional meetings to fulfill the statutory requirements. The public hearing will be held at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, October 16th, so that's next Wednesday here at the Administration Center. So that's a hearing. If you're interested in having your voice heard, that's what that purpose of that meeting is. And then the board will hold a formal vote pertaining to that budget, also at 5 o'clock, 2 weeks later on October 30th, also here at the Administration Center. So both events are going to be open to the public. Both events will be published and advertised accordingly. But while we had a moment to tell the public about that, I thought I'd do that at this time. So with that thought in mind, President Parks, I'm happy to entertain additional questions you or the board may have. But if there are none, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. 12 is communications. 12.01, public announcements. The next meeting of School City of Mishawaka Board of School Trustees will be October 23rd, 2024 at Hums Elementary. If there is nothing